Hey y'all, it's Dr. Marcy with Agility Physical Therapy and Sports Medicine and 5280 Restorative Medicine. And today I just want to take an opportunity to talk to you about vitamin D and how it affects your body and why it's important. I know a lot of people think that vitamin D deficiency is a big myth that's happening in our health right now, but truly it's not. And I'm going to tell you why today. Vitamin D has a very broad range when you test it in the blood work. The minimum number threshold is 34, maximum number is 108. Most physicians will tell you that you're in the normal range if you test at 35. Well, if you're at the bottom end of normal range, how good do you think you're going to feel on a daily basis? Um, the best examples I can give of times when people have started supplementing with vitamin D when they've actually seen a remarkable difference, even within 2 weeks, is just recently I had a 30-year-old female who used to always need an afternoon pick me up. She had her vitamin D levels tested at my suggestion through her PCP because of some other health issues that were happening. And it turns out her vitamin D was right at that like 34, 35 mark. Her PCP agreed that maybe she should start supplementing a little bit and see what happened. And when I say a little, I actually mean they supplemented it a lot, 20,000 IUs a day. Most times you'll hear people say the recommended daily dose is 2,000 IUs a day. So they're giving her 20,000 IUs a day. And she no longer needs that afternoon pick me up. She's feeling actually a lot better. She's recovering from workouts, she's sleeping better, and her body overall just feels like it's getting what it needs. So, when you think about vitamin D and what it's used for, here are all the things that you can for sure know that it is used for. Tissue repair. It's used for the repair and construction of bone tissue. It's used for repair of muscle tissue. It's used for repair of organ tissue. All of those things are important. If you don't have those, you have a serious problem. The other things it's used for, it is a precursor to every hormone produced in the endocrine system. And the endocrine system are all those glands that produce hormones, such as the pituitary gland, the thalamus, the hypothalamus, the thyroid, the hyperthyroid, the pancreas, your adrenal glands, the liver actually produces some hormones as well. And then, believe it or not, your fat cells produce hormones of their own. So, when you're thinking about whether or not you should be taking a vitamin D supplement, what the research shows is that people who live outside of the range of 37 degrees to 37 degrees longitude, above and below the equator, will likely have a vitamin D deficiency. There was a study that they took people who lived right along the equatorial line and tested their vitamin D levels. They tested within a normal range that was actually fairly high, right around 70, which is a good number for most people to aim for. And then they took them for 6 months and moved them to New York and studied their blood again. And they tested right about 34 on the male side and in the teens and 20s on the female side. So if you start noticing things like, I'm not sleeping as well, I'm working out, but I'm not recovering and I'm doing everything I'm supposed to, um, I'm not feeling like I'm myself or like I'm starting to need that afternoon pick me up, I want you to consider having a vitamin D test done. Now, here's the other thing I will say to you. Modern medicine doesn't want to test vitamin D because they don't understand the role that it plays entirely. And the physicians really aren't being taught the role that it plays. And so you can't blame them entirely. It's just not what they're taught. They're taught to symptom manage, not to health manage. They're taught to crisis manage, not health management. So, what we want to do is really be an advocate for ourselves because that vitamin D level can drop with any kind of trauma, any kind of illness, any kind of surgery, any kind of injury, because your body is really using it up as fast as it can to do tissue repair. And so you want to get that tested pre and post any surgery operation, especially 6 weeks before, 6 weeks after. And if you're low 6 weeks before, you want to start taking a higher dose supplement. If you're low in that 6 weeks after, You also want to start taking supplement because you need that supplement in order to boost your levels. The other thing I want to say is that if you've experienced any kind of childbirth, pregnancy, miscarriage, those are also incidences where the body goes through trauma and gets depleted. So, in order to restore those levels, we want to make sure that you're getting tested and that your body is getting what it needs. We can supplement that a couple of ways. There are liquid forms of vitamin D that you can take. There are pill forms of vitamin D that you can take, and you can get them everywhere from as low as 1,000 micrograms all the way up to 50,000 micrograms, or I use a day. And you probably, unless you've had cancer, chemotherapy, that kind of thing, wouldn't need 50,000 a day. But you may, if your numbers are really low, like I had mine at single digits at one point in time, if the numbers are really low, you may need that overdose of 50,000 a couple of times to kind of get you up to even that baseline of the 34, and then start supplementing with a dose of somewhere between 5,000 and 10,000 to get you where you need to be. And just to show you, I'm going to open one of my things of vitamin D if I still have one here, because these pills are not big. They actually are quite easy to take. And of course, I don't have one of the pills here, but the pill is tiny. They are, if you can see this, they're about that big. So not even as big as my fingernail, about that big. So when you're thinking about, oh my gosh, I have to take this pill, it's not something that's going to be detrimental for people who are having difficulty swallowing, those kinds of things. And then, like the liquids that we have, this vitamin D3 liquid that we have, you would just take a teaspoon of this every day to get 5,000 units. And that's going to last you probably about 10 to 20 days, depending on how big of a teaspoon you take. But those are things that we can supplement pretty easy and get you back up to a normal level and get you feeling good. Another study that was done on vitamin D reserves and looking at the health of people was actually vitamin D deficiency related to thyroid dysfunction. And what they found was that in males, if they notice the thyroid problem early enough, supplementing the vitamin D actually normalized thyroid hormone production. So if we're talking about all of the women in our life who we know have a thyroid dysfunction, instead of starting with thyroid medication that they can then never, ever, ever come off of, what if we started with vitamin D? And we got them healthy through something that their body needs anyway. And I know some of you are going to say, well, I'm dark and I spend time in the sun and I get vitamin D from the sun. I thought I did too. I was swimming at the time when I tested single digits outside every day at lunch for an hour. And in the beginning of the season, I'm really good about putting on sunscreen every time I get in the pool. And towards the end of the season, I make sure I get it on my face, but everywhere else is kind of questionable. And I don't know if you've seen me during the summer, but I get dark. I mean, absolutely dark. I'm of Mediterranean and American Indian descent, and I get dark. And I have a vitamin D deficiency. And actually, just to let you know how severe mine was, single digits, my number was 9. If minimum is 34, I was at 1/4 of what I should have been. That's really bad. And I was having trouble with my hair falling out. I was not sleeping well. I could not recover from a workout. If I went to the gym, it took me a week to get my legs back. My swimming, I was getting slower, even though I was swimming 5 days a week. I felt just run down and like I was going to get sick all the time and like I was on the verge of being sick all the time. Taking the vitamin D helped a ton, and our goal was to see if we could wean me off of the really high dose that I was taking because I was taking 10,000 units a day and 20,000 twice a week. As we started weaning me off, I started having some issues again, started feeling like I was just run down again. I just got my vitamin D tested again in June because I was down at 2,000 units a day every day instead of any high doses, and I was back down to 35. So my body is just not metabolizing what the sun is giving it and cannot produce vitamin D on its own, which I don't know why that system's broken, but for me, it's broken. So I'm doing my best to now supplement with vitamin D, and I'm taking 5,000 units every day, and twice a week I'm taking 10,000. I'm going to get my vitamin D tested again. That was June. I'm going to get it tested again in November. So then I know where I'm at and know if I need to go back up to those 20,000 doses, because it's really super important for my body to function well and to try and stay off of medication. And interestingly enough, with my vitamin D even back down at 35 for the first time this year, I tested with a within the normal range, but lower than I had for my thyroid hormone. And that's not okay, because I don't want to have to be on thyroid medication, because I know once I go on it, I will have to be on it for the rest of my life. And believe it or not, I'm a 40-year-old healthy woman who does not take any regular medications. And I don't want to have to be one of those 40-year-old women who now says, I'm on thyroid medication, because I didn't take care of me when I knew what I could do to make it better. So if you're somebody who's feeling like I'm run down, I'm not getting where I want to get, I feel like I've had this trauma, I feel like I've had this injury, I feel like I can't get over these things and I'm not getting better, vitamin D is something that can help you, and I want you to know that it's easy to get a hold of. Of course, you've heard me talk about in the past, the supplement industry is not regulated by the FDA. It's absolutely not. And so you want to make sure you're taking a reputable brand of supplements. One of the brands that I use is First Form. The other brand that I use is Pure Encapsulations. Pure Encapsulations I've been using for 2 decades. Part of the reason I chose them is because they really helped me find a multivitamin that I could take when I had severe GI issues that did not upset my stomach. And so that product to me is amazing. They've also gone through a lot of procedures to make sure that when they say something is certified gluten-free, it is absolutely certified gluten-free. And for someone with celiac, that's important. They also have gone through rigorous standards to make sure that their products are pharmaceutical grade. And that to me is also really important. First Form I've kind of been introduced to in this past year, and mostly through their protein drinks, because again, I have some GI issues. My body doesn't like processed proteins. I've heard all these things from other people as well. First Form is a protein that I can take and I don't have any stomach issues. I actually feel good after I take it, and I feel confident recommending it to other people. So if you're looking for a supplement, those are the companies that I would kind of look for. Another really great one out there, I have not used any of their products, but I know that they go through very rigorous standards, is Douglas Laboratories. They make sure that their products meet top-notch standards, regardless of the fact that they are not required to by the FDA. So if you're looking for brands that you want to take that you can get anywhere, one of the ones that I usually will recommend is Nature's Made. And the reason I recommend them is because they produce a pretty high quality supplement. My only concern is don't take any of their baked forms of vitamins. You want to be taking ones that are in a vegetarian capsule, because the baked form of vitamins don't dissolve. So the vitamins that you're getting at Costco, the Kirkland vitamin, the Centrum vitamin, you aren't getting what you need out of those because your body simply can't digest the coating and then that baked pill. So by the time it hits your small intestine, it can't absorb what's in the vitamin. So when you're looking for supplements, reputable brands, yes, you're probably going to pay a little bit more. No, it's not going to hurt you to pay a little bit more if it means that you don't have to pay for a prescription drug. The other thing I want to really talk to you about is that vitamin D deficiency can also cause low testosterone. The reason that's important is because low testosterone is known to cause heart disease, weight gain around the middle of the body, which is dangerous for the heart and dangerous for the kidneys and dangerous for your other organs. And it also is the hormone that helps with building tissue instead of breaking it down. So you can end up in a significant estrogen testosterone imbalance, whether you're a male or a female. Every female out there does need testosterone, at least in some form. Most of us need somewhere between 70 and 240 in our blood work. Most men need somewhere between 700 and 1100. And the other thing that they've been able to prove in the research is that testosterone in certain levels will prevent stroke and a heart attack, as well as helps lower cholesterol. And the reason that is because you actually need cholesterol to produce hormones. You need it to produce estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, and thyroid. So really consider what your vitamin D is and push your doctor to get that test for you so that you can get it done. If your doctor is still unwilling to test for it, or you feel like it's going to be too high to get it done through your insurance, that's fine. I understand that totally. There are labs you can go through online where you can get that test done for anywhere from $55 to $100. And if you could get that test for $55 to $100 versus going on a medication for the rest of your life, wouldn't it be worth it? So again, if you have any questions about what this is about, please email me at drmarcy@agilityphysio.com. I'm going to, in the comment section, also link some articles related to vitamin D. And if you have any other questions, you're welcome to give us a call, 303-773-0771. And you can check out our website, agilityphysio.com or 5280restorativemedicine.com. I hope that you have a great day and that your vitamin D levels are normal.